The singer has launched herself into the crowd, trusting the raised hands to support her and pass her along, directing herself by leaning in one direction or the other as she trails a 40-foot train behind her. She comes straight for Sarah, grinning wickedly, waves as she passes, and travels on. Behind her on the stage, the band keep up the song's chorus, improvising riffs around the melody and keeping the atmosphere high as the crowd cheers her on. Isn't that amazing? Look at it again. Sarah thumbs her phone to rewind the video, and the singer approaches the screen again, grinning again as she crowd surfs past, the music tinny through the speakers, sounding flat against the background music of the cafe. Marvellous. Did you actually watch the gig? Rafe looks curiously at the phone and then at Sarah. Of course I did. I was there, wasn't I? Filming it. Well, yes. How else am I going to remember something like that? Look. Sarah rewinds and plays the film yet again. You could, remember it. In your brain? Rafe taps Sarah on the temple and she pouts. Gorgeous, tall, with fair curly hair, great coat and suit hiding a slim figure, Rafe insists on being referred to as neuter. They, them. Sarah can never tell whether they're male or female, both or neither, and doesn't care. She can't draw her eyes away from their beautiful cheekbones and wide dark eyes. She desperately wants to impress them. Rafe smiles their amazing smile and Sarah forgets her peak. They know the effect they have on her, but for some reason they've held back, seeming content to stay just friends. Sarah sighs and smiles back. They sit for a moment, saying nothing but nodding to the server as she brings their coffee. The shoppers pass by outside the window, busy in their own worlds. Did you enjoy the gig? Yes, it was brilliant. Sarah starts thumbing through icons to play other clips, but Rafe puts their hand over hers to stop her. Describe it to me. Make me be there. Sarah opens her mouth, pauses, closes it. She glares at Rafe. That's why I took the video, is to show you, to keep and to see again whenever I like. But I'm not there, all I see is a little picture. Can't you make me feel as if I were there? How can I do that? If you were really truly there watching, feeling, listening, part of the crowd rather than a bystander recording it, you'd be able to make me feel it too. I'd hear it in the thrill of your voice as you tell me how it was and what you saw, what you felt. But I was there. Now you're taking the piss. Sarah feels as if she's about to cry, disappointment welling up in her throat behind her eyes. Rafe holds a hand up to her face, tilting their head and smiling a wordless request for permission before they gently stroke her cheek and wipe away a beginning tear. Can I make a bet with you? How about you put that thing away for a couple of months and actually look at the world? Then I'll ask you again and we'll see how you do. What do I win? I think you'll find that you win a wealth of experience, but you want something more. I'll feel like I've been hobbled. I think I deserve something more. All right then. Rafe smiles a promise that makes Sarah's breath catch in her chest. I guess. Done. Sarah is walking through Kelvingrove Park, on her way from her flat in West End to the city centre. It's a walk that she loves in any season. Right now the early November drifts of leaves are golden at the sides of the path and the air is crisp without being biting cold. As she walks, she drinks in the colours, greens pale to conifer dark, muted by the overcast, the lighter trees showing patches of rust as their leaves turn to fall and join the drifts on the path. Beside the duck pond there's a tree, a flowering cherry that she has photographed many times in its seasons, still keeping its leaves but now gorgeous in many shades of red and orange. She stops, enchanted, and reaches for her phone to take a picture. Her phone is up at her face and she's setting up the shot when she remembers her deal with Rafe. She grimaces, thinks about taking the picture anyway. Who would know? It's not as if she shows them every picture that she takes, just the really good ones. And this would be a really good one. The colours of the tree are beautiful, a flame in the dourness of the Scottish autumn. She puts the phone away. Maybe she'll learn to paint. Further along the path there's a group of childminders with half a dozen toddlers, the children free of their prams to run on the grass. A couple are running round a tree. Another joins them, chortling, then another, and soon all the children are circling the tree, no purpose or game but their laughter and running. Sarah smiles at the scene and walks on. Sarah catches up with Cathy at the bookshop on Argyle Street, and soon they're negotiating the Saturday afternoon bustle on their way to Mono for lunch and an afternoon's gossip. Friends since they met in a first-year history tutorial, they've shared books and bands and advice on boyfriends or girlfriends. What? Not at all, Kathy asks. I can use it as a phone, of course, but I'm meant to pay attention and remember things. It's murder. That's a bit extreme. I know they keep doing this Jedi Master shit. I don't know why. Why'd you let them get away with it? Well, there's a kiss in it for me. Sarah falters, suddenly uncomfortable. Something feels off. She shakes her head and turns back to Kathy, whose attention is distracted by a woman trying to push a buggy at the same time as she's keeping a fractious 4-year-old from running away. Each to their own, I suppose. Hey! A boy in a tracksuit and hoodie has his hand wrapped in the strap of Kathy's bag and is dragging it away. Kathy has the bag in both hands and is struggling to keep hold of it, her efforts pulling him around to face them. Suddenly the buckle snaps and the strap gives way. The bag's contents go flying and the boy lets the strap go and runs for it. He's around a corner before Kathy or Sarah can get a phone out and take a snap. Bastard! Kathy hasn't had time to be shocked, but tears are starting as she puts together the wreckage of her bag. Sarah puts her arm around Kathy's shoulder and waves for the attention of a nearby police officer, who's just noticed the fuss and is running towards them. Sarah looks at the corner where the boy has disappeared, picturing the pinched face that had been beneath the hoodie, and vows to herself, phone or not, I remember you. Sarah weaves through the gig crowd at the academy, spilling slightly the drinks in her hand, shouting "excuse me" in the ears of guys standing in her way so that she can be heard over the chatter of the crowd. Eventually she makes her way to where Kathy's standing, holding down places near the centre front of the venue, perfect place to see the stage. She hands Kathy her drink and turns to see what's happening. They had made their way to the spot while the support act were on, and the crowd had been thin knots of people standing, drinking, chatting, completely ignoring the singer and guitarist on the stage. Kathy had wanted to do the same, but Sarah had found herself caught up in the voice of the girl singing, and while she hadn't shushed her, had not paid attention, and Kathy had got the message. To cheers and shouts, the PA announces the main act, and they come bouncing on the stage. A singer, pianist, guitarist and drummer who are on their reunion tour after about 15 years. The gig starts, the lead launching straight into a high-energy rock number, and Sarah and Kathy are dancing and cheering with the rest of the audience. Out of the corner of her eye, Sarah sees Kathy lifting her arms up, trying to get a snapshot of the band, or at least the singer, since she's probably too close to get the whole band into the shot. She's standing still, jostled by the bouncing crowd, and looking up at her phone to try to see the screen. Sarah grimaces, thinking of the gigs she'd been to in the last couple of months, the photo opportunities she'd missed, the tweets she hadn't been able to make, squealing about songs as they were being played so that everyone would know what a good time she was having. She puts her hand in her pocket, closes it around her phone, thinks of her deal with Rafe, and pushes the phone back down safely. The band slows down slightly, playing a number from the new album, then another one that's complicated and baroque with varying dynamics and difficult lyrics. Sarah's fascinated, marvelling at the tightness of the players as they hand melody from one to the other and play spectacular solos. Kathy nudges Sarah. "What's this one? I don't know it," she shouts. "I don't know it either, must be new," Sarah shouts back. "It's a bit weird." "I'm liking it." Kathy makes as if she's going to shout something else, but Sarah misses it as she turns back to face the stage. Song follows song, numbers from the new album and familiar ones from the band's previous life and from the singer's solo career. One he introduces as being about a tragic period from his youth. The song's haunting, with a melancholy piano accompaniment and very light backing from the rest of the band. Sarah had never known the story of the song, and she finds tears starting as it pours out a tale of grief and heartbreak. A shoulder jostles her, and Sarah's pulled from a reverie as a boy pushes past her with drinks. He passes them to his friends in front of her, and they laugh and talk through the crescendo and the ending of the song, completely ignoring the fact that there are people around them trying to pay attention to the music. The show picks up pace with a crowd favourite in which the audience is divided into halves and given tunes to sing, as if they were trumpet and sax sections. Sarah's caught up in the enthusiasm, chanting her part with Kathy and everyone else around her. She's part of the show, the pleasure of the audience, the joy of the players and the song, uplifted by it. For a brief moment she feels as if she's every person there, musicians and audience alike. The show ends, the crowd cheering for several encores, and Sarah's transported through it, one with the revellers until she and Kathy are jostling for the exit. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine, wasn't that amazing?" "It was fantastic. Look at this." Kathy pulls out her phone to page through the pictures that she had taken and starts to post them onto her social networks. Sarah grins and walks on, still glowing with the happiness of the crowd. It's a spring Saturday, and Sarah's walking through Glasgow Green on the way to the People's Palace. The day is warm and bright, April sunshine glowing in the new buds of the trees. She stops as she reaches the riverside edge of the park to lean against the railing and watch the sparkle of light on the ripples raised by the breeze. A cormorant is perched on a pile in the river, wings spread to dry in the breeze. Sarah stands watching it for a few minutes. A couple walk past her. "Look at that, what's it doing?" the woman says. "Their feathers get waterlogged when they dive." "Oh, wait a minute." The woman pulls her phone out of the bag and takes a picture. Sarah looks at the cormorant. The cormorant looks back. They both shrug, and the bird dives off the pile, leaving a circular wave that's quickly wiped away on the rippling river surface. Sarah turns away and walks on, unsettled. Did that bird really shrug at me? As she walks through the park, the breeze moves the tree branches, and the sun through the translucent leaves shines dapples on the grass that dance like laughter. Sarah sees a tree that looks distinctly amused and wonders if she's losing her wits. The People's Palace is a museum with a large arboretum built to the side, the Winter Gardens, filled with tropical plants. Sarah comes here a few times a year, fascinated by the lives of the Glasgow citizens that are preserved in the displays. As she passes through the entrance hall, she hears echoes, her footsteps coming back to her as murmurs of voices and a hectoring speaker. She looks around her, but there is nobody in sight and the voices fade. She remembers that the palace was originally intended to be a lecture hall and meeting place for the people of Glasgow, and shrugs at her overactive imagination. She goes up to her favourite display, the reconstruction of a tenement flat from the time before electric lights and the modern kitchen appliances that she takes for granted. There's the cast iron range, the cooking and heating of the flat, and she sees the family settled round it, Pa and Ma and the children, like a scene from the Bruins comic strip. No, she doesn't. The museum display is as it always has been, the range surrounded by the household implements, the flat iron and the skillets, and the pictures of the sink and wringer that would have done for the household's washing, and the Liz Hawkett poem framed beside it. More voices distract Sarah as she wanders around the displays, images of people, snatches of conversation. Bright chatter and shrieks of laughter of women washing their sheets in the public baths and washhouse, jazz and rock and roll played in the Barrowlands ballroom. She's been to the Barrowlands, but it's a gig venue now, not a dance hall. The overlay of emotion is like nothing she's ever felt, the connection she feels with the lives of the people that are depicted. Down the stairs, out past the cafe area, along the arboretum path to the shelter of the trees. The warmth and humidity enfold her, and the murmur of the trees and the plants, some as old as the Winter Gardens themselves, are calming. The old banana tree is friendly and comforting to sit under, and Sarah gradually relaxes until the clamour of her feelings subsides. She pats its trunk, nods thanks, and stands. It's Friday night, and Sarah and Kathy are at the Pig and Butterfly to hear their friends' bands. The crowd is friendly, and the first band have a good sound for the venue, quirky and fun, mixing klezmer and rock and danceable tunes. Sarah sips her drink and listens to the music, while Kathy chats distantly to some guy who seems intent on separating them, smiling politely while keeping her body language neutral. Sarah looks over at the guy. She purses her lips. He has a look that she really doesn't like, quite apart from the fact that he's being incredibly rude to her and taking up her friend's attention. It reminds her of something. That bag snatcher. It's not the same person, but Sarah remembers the feeling. She nudges Kathy, who looks round. Sarah tilts her head in the direction of the band and Kathy nods. She turns to the guy, says, "Excuse me," and the two of them start filtering their way through the bar, past the leather armchairs and tables to the stage. They dance together to the rest of the band's set and hang around to chat while they break down their kit and make way for the next band. There's a scuffle near the door. Sarah can see the bouncer heaving a man out in an arm lock, recognises the creep that had been chatting up Kathy. She doesn't point him out to her. They have a good spot near the stage when the band takes their positions and starts to play. The lead singer is theatrical, with a curled moustache and bowler hat, cerulean trousers and red and white spats. Sarah grins just to see him and laughs as he gesticulates and dances among the crowd, climbing on tables and getting the audience to sing along with the refrain. Sarah's focused on the music and the performance when from behind her a voice says, "Hello." She starts and feels stupid for it as she relaxes and grins at Rafe, who grins back. She feels her heart leap because the smile has the same promise in it that she saw months ago in the cafe. They beckon her, and she follows them to the edge of the crowd. Are you having a good time? It's great, yeah. Paul really knows how to work a crowd. Look at him. What about your friend? Sarah looks over at Kathy, who has settled in with a knot of their friends and a couple of the players from the previous band. She remembers the creep and looks around, but she can't see any sign of trouble and relaxes. She's fine, we're both good. How about you? Not bad at all. I'll be moving on soon, though. Where to? Rafe just smiles and turns to watch the band, who have launched into a spiky, dissonant number, which the lead singer is performing with a hand puppet of a skull, which he makes to sing along with him. Sarah stands close to them, as close as she thinks she can get away with. Any other time that she's tried this, Rafe has gracefully stepped away a little, but this time they look round at her and smile gently, not moving away. Emboldened, Sarah takes their arm. The band goes into a cabaret number that has a lively beat, and people around the stage start dancing. Rafe takes Sarah's hand and says, "Will you dance with me?" "Yes." Rafe swings Sarah around, leading her in jive steps. She has no idea what she's doing, but their lead is firm and gentle, and she finds herself spinning and swaying to the music along with them. As the song ends, Rafe gathers her closer in the circle of their arms. Sarah smells a spicy scent, cinnamon perhaps, and feels warmed as if she's surrounded by a golden glow. You've been learning to pay attention to the world, haven't you? Look around. Sarah reluctantly looks away from them and around at the people in the bar. Many of them seem the same as ever, her friends chatting and nodding their heads to the music, the other people in the crowd the same kind of well-off 20s and 30s-somethings she's seen on a Friday evening in the Pig and Butterfly. She starts to notice feelings associated with the people she's watching. Loneliness in this woman, simmering violence from that boy that makes her recoil, reminded of the creep from earlier, genial anarchy radiating from the singer on the stage. Another person seems doubled, as if an unfocused image were superimposed over them. Regrets, a life not lived. As in the museum, images begin to overwhelm Sarah, emotions, pictures, histories. She trembles and looks around wildly. Rafe holds her close and pats her back. Don't be afraid, you're just seeing what's always there if you begin to look. Sarah pulls away slightly and sees that the glow she'd imagined still surrounds them. In fact, it surrounds Rafe, and she's bathed in it and warmed by it. Always keep looking, they tell her. They take her in her arms and move her away as the aura opens around her and draws back around their shoulders. It spreads the length of the bar, covering and enfolding the Friday revellers. Raphael draws Sarah closer again, leans in to kiss her lips. She slides her arms around their shoulders, and they hold her for a timeless, euphoric moment. The moment fades and leaves Sarah standing alone in the crowd, smiling blissfully, a tear running down her cheek.